So in psychology, there is the concept of the id. It's one of the three parts of the human psyche: the id, the ego, and the superego. It's from a Greek word, idios or idios, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It deals with the sense of self. And so id, a lot of words that derive from idios or idios begin with id. Ideology is sort of your own personal philosophy of life. An idiosyncrasy is your personal quirks. They all deal with personal stuff. Idiocy also comes from idios or idios, and that's sort of your own personal stupidity. Now, stupid ends in id, but that comes from the Latin stupere, meaning to be shocked. It's not from idios. And so I want to talk about the idiot box, which is a name given to television years ago. It was misnamed. Television was just a placeholder, in my opinion. There is something much, much better coming along that deserves the term idiot box. So years ago, when television was the idiot box, and before we had computers and all, and actually like a generation before I was born, everyone sort of, for the most part, got along or tried to get along with each other. So you had your friends who you hung out with. Maybe you had 60 to 70% of common interests, so these are the people you hung around with because you could talk to them and you had common interests to talk about and deal with. And then you had everyone else, and you sort of tried to get along with everyone else. You really didn't hate everyone else. Then my generation came along, and we came up with the idea of cliques. And a clique was, these are your friends, and you hang out with your friends, and you don't hang out with anyone else. And this person's not in your clique, then you don't hang out with them. There was vague amount of overlap where, okay, this clique is sort of our ally clique or whatever, but outside of that, you don't do that. And this was all going on before the internet. The internet comes along and things just go all to hell. So the internet comes along, like I said. Now you can go online, you can get into forum groups, you can talk to people of common interest. And even then, it wasn't completely bad. I mean, there were some stupid things going on. It wasn't wholly bad. There were, like, for instance, so you go on, and I like this television show, so I go on a forum and I talk about this television show and make friends. And we talk about this television show. And then a conversation comes up, and somehow it turns to politics. What? You believe, you supported so-and-so? Well, I don't like you anymore. Doesn't matter that, the main purpose of this site is to talk about television. Suddenly I'm a bad person because I don't agree with you on your politics. And yeah, it just started going downhill from there. And so, like I said, idiocy is sort of your own personal stupidity. The term idios, it had a lot to do with your sense of self. Privacy came from idios. And so that's it. I'm creating my own personal world. And the internet fostered this a lot. You could go on, and now, back before we had the internet, and when people, you had your friends you hang out with, but you sort of got along with everyone a little bit just because that's, society works better if we give everyone a basic chance. Now, I can ignore everyone. I can talk to just my friends because the internet allows me to narrow down people who agree with me, and I can ignore the rest of the world. Or I can try to ignore the rest of the world. And so I give you the new idiot box. This is the idiot box. We call them smartphones. They are idiot boxes. This allows people to go and enjoy their own personal stupidity. We can ignore the rest of the world. We can talk to people who agree with us. Cyberbullying became a big... Cyberbullying is no different than normal bullying, except for people have gotten so wrapped up in themselves that you're not allowed to disagree with each other without being horribly offensive. And that's where, cyberbullying came in. Let's just pick on the guy who has nothing in common with us because we don't need him in life. We can go online and I can talk to someone 1,000 miles away who agrees with me, and I don't need to worry about what my neighbor thinks or what the people around me thinks. I can be an idiot and go into my own personal little world with this little box. And I can ignore the real world. I can ignore that there are opinions different than mine. I can act offended if people just express an opinion different than mine because I know there's a whole support community out there. I will never meet them in real life, but they agree with me and they're on my idiot box. And so that is very much, like I said, this is the new idiot box. It should be the idiot box. It's the television. Television brought new ideas into your mind, at least. You didn't think necessarily. People stopped being creative. To be fair, when the term television box or when the term idiot box was applied to television, people were still thinking. I mean, it was television shows brought new ideas to us. Made us think about the world around us. The Twilight Zone was very good at getting us to think about social issues. MASH. Old westerns, your Gunsmoke had a lot of moral, issues and stuff. And, old television got us to think about things outside our own perspective. The idiot box, I can ignore anything outside my perspective and I can just look for those people who agree with me and I can be an idiot. Because that's what the idiot box does. And so I just wanted to point that out, Well, actually, I had more to say. I mean, ever go into a room of people texting their friends or staring at a screen? They all have the same expression on their face. Ever notice that? It's because it's the idiot box. You just stop thinking and you go into this weird headspace, which is you and your little device, and idiocy takes over. Ever been run into by someone walking down the street staring at a phone? Because they're in their own little world. They can ignore the real world. They can ignore the people around them until they bump into them. Then somehow they think it's your fault because you just invaded their world by bumping into them, when in fact they are the ones who bumped into you because you were going about your business. It's not my business to watch the people walking behind me. It's my business to watch the people in front of me so that I don't run into them. People stepping out of doorways into me. I'm not expecting that because, in the real world, people pay attention to where they're going. In the idiot box world, people pay attention to this little device and they ignore everything else around them. So that's all I had to say. Short video. I just wanted to point out, yes, the term idiot box still applies to life. It no longer applies to television. It applies to your smartphone because your phone's smarter than you when you use it. When you use your phone, you turn into an idiot. So that's all. Until next week, put away your phone and get in touch with the real world for a while, and have a good day.